these things that we've done as a country is to look at the part that we didn't do well or give enough attention or even give the basic support.
Okay.
When I say basic, sometimes you don't even need to throw the whole player.
We didn't put in as much as we always demand.
Exactly, that's the point. And again, you know, for these girls, we don't even want to talk about the league. They are not that equipped to play regular football.
Okay.
So when the tournament is coming, just give them total attention. Now, the Super Falcons, they're also saying the same thing. Preparations, preparations, preparations. If they're prepared, I think they will do well. Not just that, we also need to review the welfare package for these ladies because a lot of them don't do anything but play football. And by the time you start playing football like this, your family start looking up to you. You need to take care of people and all of that. So
They're tempted not to make the right decisions.
A little bit of extra motivation. When next you see these ladies play, they will shine.
All right, Nodi, Austin talked about something, and I'm going to quickly ask you: is there a mental barrier there? I mean, talent. There's no question. There's talent in these teams, but we have not crossed that quarterfinal stage. So is there a mental barrier there? We all agree that this team did well, though they crashed out in the quarterfinal. But is there a mental barrier that always stops us from getting past? It was a bright moment in 2014, but is there a mental barrier there that stops us from getting past that stage?
I don't think there's any mental barrier. It has to do with consistency. You don't expect your team to want to do well every time. Okay. But when you play tournaments for a long period of time, I think we just had maybe the 4th, 5th edition of the Under-17 World Cup, so we can't expect Nigeria to want to win or break that barrier of qualifying for the quarterfinal. But as we move on, subsequently, we need to realize that this opponent we used to in the past, and of course we may still get them on the way. The last time we played against Germany, the scoreline was 2-0 at the under 20 level. But this time it was 1-0, it was a close one. We almost got the winner too. We almost got another qualifier. So I think it's not about mental barrier. It's about playing at the tournament consistently.
It's something that will come with time.
Will come with time because at this level, yes, it comes with time. We've seen even in Africa, we've seen countries get close to us because they've been consistent over time.
They've been planning,
planning
everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the not too palatable one. And as the Super Eagles, this is the most talked about issue when you talk about sports in Nigeria, the Super Eagles, and of course, sometimes it divides friends. But I'm very sure it's not going to divide us here. But your assessment of it was still a bright moment for the first time in 16 years. We won a game at the World Cup. I mean, let's forget how we crashed out, but the fact that we won a game. The last time we won a game was 1998, and we got the opportunity. Well, some would say it was against Bosnia, but to me it counts for something. Let me start with Austin. How do you define that moment?
I think the World Cup did a lot for Nigerian football. It opened a lot of closed books that needed to be read. The World Cup also, to an extent, told the football house, you need to mend your roof because when it rains, it will pour into your house. Because everything rises and falls on leadership. When you go into a big tournament as the World Cup, Iran would have prepared to win the World Cup. I mean, it's the World Cup. And we're going to the World Cup as the champions of Africa. Yes, we did win Bosnia, but was it the sort of victory we were expecting from the champions? We'll call them expectations, but to a level, you want to lose a game and then you're getting a standing ovation for losing.
Yeah.
You saw what Aaron Quadri did. Yeah, he lost a game, and then everyone was applauding him like he was the winner.
German fans said they wanted to see him again.
We didn't see that sort of promise. You remember the word I used for the ladies, promise, from a Super Eagles team that at the time, the FA had put in so much money on, at the time were champions of Africa, at the time had even the best coach in Africa. So something was missing. Feel free to bring in your mental talk into that. Feel free to put leadership into that. And then all of that started coming out after the World Cup. Because, guys, after the World Cup till now, the football house has been like this. So now, even if you say it doesn't play football on the field, when a house is not in order, one way or the other, it will show.
It's going to affect.
Yeah.
Okay. Nodi, we have crossed from January to June, but still looking at that period and that moment, still a defining moment in 2014. How was your own assessment? Is this something we should look back and smile, or is this something we should forget in a hurry?
We all knew what our target was before the World Cup. We all knew that when the draws were made in December 2013, we knew we were going to win at least one game.
Okay.
Not the game was supposed to be Iran, but suddenly it
wasn't Iran anymore.
Iran was Bosnia, because we knew Argentina was going to be a top knock to track. Argentina was going to pick the first spot. Then the other team will struggle for the other. So we knew our position in the first place. We also knew that when we get to the quarterfinal, the second round,
we're going to play the first team.
We play one of the best team, and even if we meet the weakest team, at most the quarterfinal. We never expected that we will win the World Cup. Anybody that said Nigeria will win the World Cup, I think
probably dreaming.
Yes, this is not even the best time to think about that, because given the circumstances, the way when we saw the team, we discovered that there was a lot of surprise exclusion and inclusion. We discovered that players we expected to have been in the team didn't show up, were not in the team. So Keshi gave us what we call big time surprises.
But if we could dream to win one, we can also aspire to win two.
Okay.
If we can qualify for the knockout phase, we can qualify for the quarterfinals. These are all just preparations. They're going to a big tournament as the World Cup. Nobody is saying go and win it. But we're saying that we got into the World Cup thinking that we're playing the best football at the time with the Super Eagles that just showed promise at the Cup of Nations. With the same coach, and to an extent, with most of the players.
Well, I think that's what Nodi's trying to point out. Some would say, not really. You can't argue that it wasn't 100% the players that won the Nations Cup, and it doesn't give you stability. If, for instance, you're putting some players in the squad that's played just 1 or 2 games for the senior national team, I don't see how those kind of players will gel on the big stage with the other guys. But for me, I think it was still a moment to treasure. The fact that we were able to win, and that's why it's on our list as one of the best moments in 2014. The fact that we were able to win a game in 16 years. It's not something we should be celebrating, but guys, before the World Cup, we reminded ourselves that the last time we won a game was against Bulgaria in France '98, and we were able to do it. Nodi pointed out we thought it was going to be Iran. It wasn't Iran, but it was. And
that was where our problem actually started, because not beating Iran brought up a lot of talk. It also brought a lot of questions on the play of the Super Eagles. We're not definite. We're not using the flanks. We're not playing as a team.
We're not technically aware.
Well, the country you felt could have beaten Iran black and blue had to wait till the last minute to score.
Yeah, and a lot of people also threw that in your face and say, even we respected Argentina. Probably if we had raised our game,
Argentina wouldn't have gone to beat us maybe 4 or 5, because they've not beaten us
with that margin before
in the past. But we knew we were going to lose to Argentina.
But with the sort of play
when we played that day,
we knew we were going to lose to Argentina, because we were shocked with the kind of performance our boys gave after the first one against Iran, the game against Bosnia. We were shocked that our boys came out in their real element. But
well, okay. Like I said, you can always talk about the Super Eagles on and on and on and on and on. You will always have a lot to say. But it was one of the best moments in 2014 because I repeat, because we were able to break that 16-year-old jinx and win a game at the Mondial. All right, let's go to this one. And this is something all of us will smile about. It's really nothing to argue about. Osino Konakman says that was the best moment in 2014. I can't agree less. 2014 Commonwealth Games, guys. Let me start with Nodi. Definitely. If we were putting this on a scale of 1 to 10, it would probably be number 1. But we're doing this in terms of dates. But I mean, how do you rate our performance at the 2014?
Well, remember that the Commonwealth Games came at the time we had the crisis in Nigerian football.
Yes.
The Commonwealth Games we were fast approaching. Some teams did not go with. They went there. They landed in Glasgow. They
couldn't participate.
They were keeping in Nigeria. Some went there. They were changing jerseys. They were even trying to close the names of some of their jerseys. We saw the preparation was shambolic, but the ones that had medals were those who had individual performances.
Like this one,
their federations had to take advantage of the fact that they have to host many competitions. Some had to use one competition to select their best athlete for the tournament. Like wrestling, use the Ike Clark tournament to select their wrestlers. For table tennis, they use the Lagos Table Tennis Championship and all the other competitions. So, Okagbayo, which tournament did you use? That's what I'm talking about. So, at one point, we had the ministers involved, being in the thick of the NFF crisis. Why the Commonwealth Games is going on? So, it's a case of the the brilliance of the athlete, not the effort of the administrators.
But it was still a good moment.
It was a good moment for
Nigeria.
Nigeria.